As a home ed mum of 6 children and 1 angel, you may think that I am ill-equipped to speak about keeping your children healthy when they go back to school, and you would have a point. However, over the years, our children have had plenty of stints, long and short, at holiday clubs and camps, and we've literally just had our last few days of 4 full weeks at holiday club with at least 4 of our children, some days starting at 8:30 a.m. and picking up at 3 o'clock. And we've made packed lunches every day. And my husband and I both work full time on our businesses. So we can relate to the challenges that happen. And we want to just share what we've learned over the years of doing all of that. Greetings and welcome to another episode of Naturally You Radio. My name is Leah Salmon, the Naturally You coach, and at Naturally You Radio, we are here to help Black women to eat for health, think for happiness, or live in harmony, or what we call becoming naturally you. And today I want to share 5 tips to keep you and your children healthy when you go back to school this September and for the rest of the year, hopefully as well. Now, as some of you may know, we decided when our children were young that we didn't want them to. Well, I decided I didn't want them to have the same food addictions and eat the same kind of standard English diet that I did. So we've never given the children meat or poultry. They have wheat and gluten maybe once or twice a month. They have dairy. They're dairy free unless they've been given it by mistake, which to my knowledge has maybe been about 3 or 4 times. And they only eat processed sugar and things like mayonnaise and pepper sauce. And we actually used to be a lot stricter than that with absolutely no processed sugar, dairy, or wheat. So their diet is as healthy and as full as whole foods as I can manage. So there's lots of fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, beans, lentils, grains, quinoa, whole grain rice, and fish and eggs. And I'll go into a lot more detail about their diet soon, but suffice to say, it's a darn sight healthier than what I and most of us grew up on, whilst my mum did her best. And my main focus is getting as many nutrients into them as possible and as little ultra-processed foods into their diet as possible. I know this can be challenging for many parents who know that their diet needs to be cleaned up without maybe going as far as, what we do. And most parents who bring their children into the clinic are always asking for some basic tips just to get started. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you, what I normally share with them. As the children are going to be going back to school soon, now is a really good time to start thinking about their diet. As we all know, the beginning of term has got, let's say, 3 main challenges. Number 1, your children's been away from the confines of the classroom over the holidays, and they may be more likely to catch something because they're going in amongst the population again. The weather's going to start to get colder, and there's going to be more bugs going around. And as the days are getting shorter, there's less sunlight, and that can also compromise the immune system as well. So, and when we say when it gets colder, there's more bugs around, it's more that when it's colder, people tend to be inside more. So the bugs that are going around all year, you're just more likely to get them because people aren't getting out as much, windows aren't being opened as much. There's not that necessarily that there's more bugs because it's colder. It's just the shift in the environment makes it more likely that people are likely to get things when it gets colder. So getting ahead of this naturally with their foods and natural supplements is a good idea because, we don't want to end up in the same cycle as normal. But as a home ed mum of 6 children and 1 angel, you may think that I am ill-equipped to speak about keeping your children healthy when they go back to school, and you would have a point. However, over the years, our children have had plenty of stints, long and short, at holiday clubs and camps, and we've literally just had our last few days of 4 full weeks at holiday club with at least 4 of our children, some days starting at 8:30 a.m. and picking up at 3 o'clock. And we've made packed lunches every day. And my husband and I both work full time on our businesses. So we can relate to the challenges that happen. And we want to just share what we've learned over the years of doing all of that. In fact, some of the lunches that I made for our children, I've actually shared them on social media over the past few weeks, which you can find on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok if you just go and search the Naturally You Coach or Leah Salmon. So you can see some of the things that we put in there. So now let's get into the tips to keep you and your children healthier when they go back to school this September. Number one, use superfoods. Our children's growing bodies are using up nutrients rapidly and replacing them with superfoods. And superfoods are basically foods that are pound for pound more nutrient dense than other foods. Doing this keeps them from being deficient. That will keep them growing healthy and strong. And importantly, when we're talking about this specific time of year, it also keeps their immune system functioning more optimally and their brain ready to get back into the learning mode. The superfoods that I would actually recommend that are cost effective, easy to get hold of, and either already taste pretty good or can be added to children's foods in a way that they're more likely to enjoy them are sea moss, herbal teas, and natural supplements. Now, sea moss is one of my favorite things. And I know many people already know about how many nutrients it's got and how, beneficial it is for the body. And there are even people on social media I've seen swear that giving their children a spoon of sea moss in the morning is reducing the children's chances of picking up bugs and all those kind of things. And I think that's a good move. You can absolutely make your own gel. I think it's really simple. There's lots of instructions online. Or you can buy one of the ready-made ones. So here at the Naturally You Health Center, we've got some delicious lime and ginger ones, strawberry ones. Now, the strawberry and dragon fruit one we got, I think, is probably one of the sweeter ones because the strawberry is pretty sweet in it. And then we also have the mango and turmeric one. But when you make your own, if you make your own herbal, you make your own sea mosses, you can absolutely, add any flavors that your child is going to like and that you're going to like as well. So sea moss on a daily basis is a good one. Herbal teas, I think, are amazing. When I studied herbal medicine, I learned that they are dynamic living remedies that we've used for centuries. And starting the day with a herbal tea hydrates the body after a long sleep, fires up the digestion, warms you up on a cold morning, and then you can sweeten them with honey to make them more palatable. And they're really cost effective as well. I would suggest one of my favorite teas, nettle tea, which is super nutrient rich, mineral rich. Tuma, which is a blend we have for iron and minerals. And then Nutraire is another one, which tastes pretty good because it's got pineapple in it. And it's the digestive blend that we've got here as well. And it's also got peppermint, which is good for the immune system. And then I would say maybe once or twice a week, maybe like on the weekends or the beginning of the week, maybe adding some soursop tea in there. And then we have a herbal tea combination called Breath, which supports the respiratory tract, which is going to be really good at supporting you and your children's immune system as well. When you're making herbal teas for children under the age of 12 that aren't used to having them regularly, it's a good idea to kind of make them full strength and then dilute them by about a half or a third, just to, get your children's bodies used to having herbal teas if they're not normally used to having them. Then you've got supplements. And I would always suggest liquid supplements because they're just easier for your body to absorb. And a good place to start when it comes to vitamins and supplements for children is something like a B vitamin, because children are using up B vitamins really quickly. So like a B vitamin spray, something like a Spartone, which is the liquid iron sachets, or Floridex, which is like a more multivitamin liquid. Now, I always do prefer recommending anyone, actually, children or adults, getting their nutrients mainly from foods and superfoods. But supplements can be really convenient. They're more concentrated as well, and they're kind of, designed to be taken by children. So having a combination of all three throughout the week would also work really well. So some sea moss some days, herbal teas on other days, and supplements on other days. The second tip is to get as much raw food into them as possible. Fresh fruits, raw vegetables have got lots of plant-based vitamins and minerals, lots of fiber to keep them cleansed. And they're also a natural source of water, so it keeps them hydrated, which is really important for everything from their brain health and learning to detoxification and growth. So raw fruits and vegetables. Now, you could give them a piece of fruit with their breakfast. You could give them raw vegetable sticks or fruit in their packed lunches if they take them, or even adding things like lettuce to their sandwiches would be a good place to start if there's not a lot of raw food going in at the moment. The third thing that I would suggest is to get healthy fat into them daily. Their brains are big fatty muscles that need replenishing as they grow and as they learn. And the reason why essential fatty acids are called essential fatty acids is because we can't make them in our body, so we have to get them in our food. And getting them in at breakfast can give the brain and the body in general actually a good start to the day by nourishing and calming their brain so that they're ready to start learning and start, dealing with all the challenges of the day. So you could stir coconut oil into their porridge if they like porridge in the morning. You could give them nut butters on toast with bananas. You could start their day with an organic egg, or you could add things like raw nuts and seeds to a smoothie. Now, pros tip, smoothies are amazing because you can add the sea moss, raw foods, and healthy fats. All of them can go into smoothies. You can chuck them all into smoothies, and with enough good tasting, strong tasting fruits, if you're having like a fruit-based smoothie, and with enough chocolate powder, to be honest, with enough chocolate powder and honey in a nut milk-based smoothie, most additions won't even be recognized. But if your children don't like smoothies, don't worry, because you can still follow the rest of the tips and get those nutrients in other ways. Number 4, as much as all the physical stuff to nourish and support them is important, nourishing and supporting their little minds and emotions is also really important. And this is where positive words, a hug and an I love you, have a good day, prince, princess, a note in their bag with a different motivational daily message, even a midday text message. This is where all of those kind of things come in. It's a really simple gesture. It could take less than 30 seconds, in fact, but it can really mean a lot to children. It can create that sense of connection with you and your child, knowing that you're, feeding into them and pouring into them and making that connection with them on a mental and emotional level on a daily basis. Do not underestimate the power that these kind of free moments of time can do to your children. Last but not least, look after yourself, mum and dad. Do everything that I've said to do for them for yourselves this week too. Get your superfoods in, get your healthy fats in, your raw foods. Speak kindly to yourself, and even consider what you're using to start your days. So, maybe if, and just seeing if it can be upgraded. So maybe if you're having a lot of coffee, you're having a lot of caffeine to get you started, maybe trying things like mushrooms if you feel like you're getting quite overwhelmed by the school week and the routine and everything that it's going to take. Maybe giving yourself 5 minutes to do some deep breathing or some meditations or affirmations, even before you leave your bedroom or even in the shower, to just calm your nerves. If you find you're having too much sugar first thing in the morning, and I see this a lot in my clients, again, get that healthy fat in the mornings instead, and delay the sugar until after lunch, just to give your blood sugar levels a chance and a break and a chance to kind of balance out, because that can make mornings feel a lot more stressful. And remember, most importantly, even if it's not those specific things that you do, just remember to include yourself on the list of things to take care of in the day whilst you're getting your children back into the swing of things. Now, a few more things to add. Even though most of the tips focus on doing things as part of the morning routine, if you can't do them in the morning, after school or in the evenings can work too. So for example, herbal teas and healthy fats with dinner can be a really good way to calm the children down and yourself down so that you get a good night's sleep. And sleep, as we know, is super important for health and well-being. As with most of the things that I recommend in general, if you can do these things most of the time or most days, you're still going to make progress. So don't get too hung up on like having to do these things every single day and getting stressed if you miss a day. Doing it consistently will still get results. And another pro tip is to get your children involved and, empowering them to do these things for themselves. And sometimes just, giving them the opportunity to maybe improve on what it is you've already showed them, getting them to make their own packed lunches, making their own smoothies, putting them in charge of being the one to do the sea moss and give out the sea moss, and making sea moss with them and getting them to flavor it in a way that they are really going to enjoy. They can maybe be responsible, if they're older, for making herbal teas for the family as well. and then they get to choose what herbal teas they have. Whatever you think is something that they can practically do without too much of your help and assistance, that's empower them to do that. So then it not only boosts their self-esteem, but it helps the whole day go more smoothly and take some pressure off you as well. So I remember after seeing me make up their packed lunches for the last few weeks, our children started asking, and I would normally ask them every day what they would like in their packed lunches, and they would suggest things and want to add things. And in the last few in the last few mornings, they've actually made their own packed lunches, and it was my youngest too, and they very proudly showed me what it was that they made for themselves for their own packed lunches. And arguably their packed lunches did look a little fancier than the ones that I was putting together for them, which is absolutely fine. But I definitely find that our children, for example, are far more likely to eat things that they've had more input in, as far as choosing it and buying it and preparing it and making it all for themselves. And I'm sure you'll have an idea about what will encourage your children to participate. And again, that will also make your experience with adding more healthy foods better for them. So there are just 5 things that you can do to keep you, and remember, you are a priority as well, to keep you and your children healthier when you go back to school in September and for the rest of the year as well. I hope you found them useful. And if you do have any questions or comments or suggestions or anything, please feel free to put them in the comments underneath wherever you're listening to this podcast or watching it. You can find more tips and advice on how to eat for health, think for happiness, and live in harmony at thenaturallyyoucoach.com/podcast. And on my social media, just search for thenaturallyyoucoach.com. I look forward to sharing with you again soon. And if you want to if you actually have suggestions of things that you want me to talk about in these podcasts, or even if you have suggestions of guests that you want to see me interview on this podcast, please do let me know. I look forward to seeing you and hearing from you and sharing with you again soon. Take care and stay healthy.